Well, good day, everybody. Craig back at you. Out again on the 2018 Honda Goldwing. Just out and about for a putt and thought I'd do a motor vlog. So the topic of this motor vlog deals with motorcycles and what is going on with the availability, the limited supply of motorcycles this year. And just maybe some thoughts we can kick around as to maybe why this is happening. So let me start by saying this. I don't know about your area. I think this is really going across the country. There seems to be a shortage, either a shortage or a higher demand on motorcycles, or a combination of both. I went into my local dealer, who usually has an abundance of used motorcycles, new and used motorcycles. But it's kind of like a stop I like to make on Saturdays. In the morning I go to a men's meeting at my church, and then, we kind of fellowship there. And then on my way home, I always stop at the motorcycle dealership. And I just look around. Well, what I've noticed is there are hardly any bikes. And the bikes that he had, almost all of them had a for sale sign, or sold sign. I'm not for sale. They're sold. There's very few bikes that were left for sale. And this is I think they're a power sport dealership where they deal with multiple brands: Honda, Yamaha, I think they do Suzuki, they do Ducati. So they do a bunch of different motorcycle brands, but everything is sold. And it seems like if you want to get a bike, you have such a limited supply, and the sellers, whether it's a motorcycle dealership or maybe even private sale, they really are getting what they're asking. Doesn't seem to be a lot of haggle room because the supply is not there. Again, getting back to the supply and demand. So the question that I have is, one, is this happening in your area? I'm going to assume that it is. I'm going to assume it's not just my area that's happening in. But is there a shortage of motorcycles when you're going to look in your area? And if there is, what are the reasons? Now, I thought a couple things. Naturally, with the pandemic and last year, I think a lot of the motorcycle manufacturers were shut down. So they're just not producing bikes. They weren't making bikes at the same rate that they were making pre-pandemic. So I think that's one of the reasons that you don't have a big supply, especially of new bikes. The second reason, I think there is this notion of wanting to get out. Last year we had, everyone was kind of locked down for a certain, segment of the country. In other countries, you're still somewhat in a lockdown or quasi-lockdown. Or maybe if you're in Canada, Canada's much more stringent. Seems like they're still in lockdown. But it seems like the outdoor sports, the power sports, the motorcycles, something that you can get you out and, you get the therapy of riding a motorcycle, and it provides you something to do. It seems to me like that's driving it. I guess it's post-pandemic fatigue that's increasing motorcycle sales, and also the lack of the lack of availability of motorcycles. So just interested in, have you tried to get a motorcycle? Have you been looking at motorcycles? If you have one, have you been looking at a second or a third and just realized, hey, they're hard to come by? And if so, kind of let me know. Put it in the comments if you've experienced this. The other thing that I've noticed, like I briefly touched on, is that the sellers are really getting asking price. I don't know, because I haven't been into motorcycles for a long, long time. It's something that's relatively new to me, but I do remember back, I believe it was in the 90s, when Harley Davidson, in order to get a Harley Davidson, you had to get on a waiting list, you had to put a deposit down, and you might wait a year before your bike came in. You put a deposit down this year to get a bike next year. And because the demand was so high for the bikes, and I guess availability was not as big. So for those of you that remember that era, and I think Harley was even charging, or the dealerships were charging over premium or over manufacturer suggested retail. So they were charging a premium price, $3,000 over MSRP, $5,000 over MSRP in order to get the motorcycle that you wanted. For those of you that remember that era of motorcycling, Would you say that this is the same type of thing? Are we going through that? Are we getting ready to enter where people want motorcycles so bad that they're going to pay premium over MSRP for a motorcycle, or way over Kelley Blue Book for a used bike just to be able to get the bike? And then also, this is a question for my Harley Davidson riders and owners, because I'm not familiar with this. But do you, as a HD owner, do you pay full retail all the time? I mean, is it just, I've heard that if you go to buy a Harley, that, you know, you don't get any breaks on the price. It's just, you might get a break on accessories, but you don't get breaks on prices. So is it just common practice as a Harley owner, you're paying MSRP no matter what? So this whole thing doesn't really affect you, other than the selection of bikes maybe not be as big as it once was. So just want to hear your thoughts. Is this happening in your area? And if it is, and if you are in the market for buying a motorcycle, are you just going to, you know, bite the bullet and say, hey, it is what it is, this is a selection, and I'm going to pay what they're asking, I'm going to get my bike now? Or are you going to say, hey, I'm going to wait until there's a larger selection? Maybe it might even be till next year. There's a larger selection of bikes. Maybe there's some more wiggle room if the market gets flooded with more bikes, and I'll save a little bit of money. My personal opinion is, yeah, I'm always for saving money. I mean, I did when I bought this bike. I bought a leftover 2018 and 2019 and saved some money. But I'll say this. If I didn't have a bike and I was faced with this current situation and I really wanted to ride, I would just go buy a bike and ride. I just would. I would not worry about so much about the cost, as long as you can afford it, and as long as you're not getting super taken advantage of. If it's MSRP and that's what's going to get you into a bike, and bikes are coming hard, you know, they're hard to come by, then just pay the money, grab the bike, and enjoy the bike, and get out here on the road and do what we're doing. So thanks for watching this video. Again, leave me an idea in the comments what you think. What would you do? Do you think this is going to be a long-lasting trend of shortages on bikes? And get out, ride safe, and ride for fun. And everyone have a wonderful time, and stay blessed, and we'll talk to you soon.